I just recently received this micrometer holder stand base, and got it off of Amazon. It's the brand is an LLDSIMEX. Now the stand you see on the left here, I actually built this and I did a review showing it in use, and I will link that down below in the description. And this is the actually what part of the page on Amazon. So that is the brand name, Precision Micrometer Holder Stand Base. So let's take a look at this and see if there's any precision into this. And here is just some of the information that I printed off that will show on Amazon's website. It comes in this extremely generic box, and that's all it says. You wouldn't have a clue who made this by just looking at the box. No numbers, nothing. So let's take a look on the website here first. We see that the price is $17.49, and that's relatively, well, that's actually very cheap. And I was looking at some other ones that looked almost just like this, and they were higher prices. So I thought, well, let me just try this, because you know, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't, I could throw it out and wouldn't be all that much to the loss. Now check this out. We see another one, $39.35, and tell me that doesn't look like the dead ringer for what I have. Now here's a Starrett. Obviously it's a Starrett, quite a bit different, and I didn't want to spend that kind of money, no way anyways, so $125.73. Now here's a Mitsatoya, $80.80, and it's not adjustable. Now, boys and girls, I thought this was really interesting. Look at this. Mitsatoya 156-101-10 micrometer stand for micrometers up to 4-inch. Regularly 110. Amazon's got it for 101.38. But now look at this. I mean, it looks just like what I have. Now, it's really amazing. Doesn't look like it's built any better, just from looking at it here, and I'll show you mine. So that's one reason why I decided just to give that other one a try. The price was right, and I didn't want to spend a fortune. Now, as you see it here, I've added two things, and I'll tell you why. I added this nylon washer over here, and then inside, over here, just inside between this and the clamp, I've got a 5/16 internal locking washer. So let's see how this is constructed. So first you have the base. Okay, it's got 3 pads. Then you've got this area up here where the swivel head would go into, the clamp. that swivels. Next, let's look at the clamp. Now the clamp, when I initially got this, it was very sticky. Okay, now what I ended up doing was just taking this out, wiping the threads down, and I think there were burrs inside this threaded part, because this part is threaded. So I kind of tried to clean them up and just ran this back and forth, and it's much nicer now, much smoother. Also, you'll note that they do have embedded in here an internal tooth lock washer, and that, I'm assuming, is so that when it sets in here, it helps grip and keeps it snug, which is one of the issues that I had with this. Not really holding tight enough, not clamping properly. Then here we have a bushing, okay, that goes on to this. Now the part that you see extending out here, this is a metric bolt. It's 8 millimeters by 1.25 pitch, and it's approximately 45 millimeters long, the part that's extended past this knob. So you put the bushing on there, and then you put the clamp head, and then this would go in here like this, and then that bushing would also push up against your micrometer head clamp there. But I found that it could slip. I mean, it wasn't really what I would call snug enough. So first I actually tried just this nylon washer up against this side, put it together, and then put it in here, and it was real snug. But really, I suppose being nylon, it just didn't it didn't work out all that well. It was a little bit better. Then I thought, well, let me try this internal tooth lock washer, 5/16 internal diameter, and then put that up against here between the clamp head and this side of the base. And that did work out a little bit better. It did help out a lot. And then since I had this washer, I just decided to take it and put it on like this, and then the bushing. So I did find that internal tooth lock washer did give it a much better clamping force, but like I said, for $18, it does a pretty decent job. Like I said, I didn't want to spend much more. I mean, I certainly didn't want to spend $80, $100+ and you know, you get what you pay for. Now the clamp area opens up quite a bit. Even if you go just to that point right there, holds any mic that I've got. And then once I kind of cleaned up those threads and then kind of took care of the back in here, just worked this back and forth when I first got it because it was sticky, it does work smooth now. And you can see it does have rubber or padding. I'm not quite sure if it's a rubber, but it's a softer material so that it will not damage your micrometers. Now I've got no issue with the clamp that holds the mics. It does a very good job. Now here you see the stand holding my Mitutoyo 6 to 7 inch mics. And one of the nice things about having a stand is that when you're setting it to zero it out, it's nice to have it to where it's stationary. You don't have to fool around with it. You can clamp it down and make sure when you're using your setting standard. So that's nice to have a stand. And a lot of times if you're checking some parts, it's so much easier when you're freeing up both hands, especially when you get into the big micrometers like this. Smaller ones not so much, but you know, this stand isn't too bad. Knowing the limitations, it did hold this. It's not perfect. One of the things that I may do here later on is I may just put a 8mm bolt through here. I actually did buy one, and I may crank it down and just leave it permanent and leave it in one fixed position. So that's one alternative that I do have. Here you see that stand with my 5 to 6 inch digital Mitutoyo mics, and I decided to put that bolt through there and do a permanent angle on the holder, and I'll show you how I did that. So I started out with an 8mm by 1.25 pitch by 60mm long bolt. Now you'll note that there was a blue cap on there. So when you take this knob off and you just take the bolt and push on the bolt on the threaded end and you push down on it, it'll pop this cover. And so then all you have to do is replace the bolt that came with it with the 60mm long one. And then I just took and put, I had some stainless stuff, so I put a, you don't need to use stainless, obviously the boat isn't stainless, but I had stainless, so I just used a stainless washer, and then a 8mm nut on there. Then I tighten this down as much as I can tighten it down by hand, and just tighten it up with the wrench a little bit. Now you have yourself a permanent angle, and that should work with me just fine, and it's nice and rigid this way. That should be a very, for me this will work probably in most applications that I'm going to need. Then just take that blue cover, pop it back in, nobody's any wiser.